Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we are analyzing the conversational AI leader, SoundHound AI, and we're tackling, the critical question. Is SoundHound AI a good time to buy now? The stock has been, it's been a real headline maker. You see this explosive momentum, but also losses that? Well, they could scare off a lot of investors. We've gathered the source material to figure out if this is like a generational play or maybe more of a classic value trap. Before we really jump in, just a reminder, please subscribe, like, and comment on this analysis. And hey, if there's a specific company you want us to look into next, definitely leave a comment below. We really want to hear what's on your mind.
Okay,
let's unpack this. The SoundHound AI story. It's really complex, isn't it?
it absolutely is.
You've got this rapid global customer acquisition on one hand, and then these ongoing, actually deepening profitability concerns on the other.
Exactly. It's like a microcosm of the whole AI sector right now, that growth at all costs mindset.
Right. But we need to see what the actual hard numbers are saying about its viability, moving forward. But first, just a quick word of caution. The quotes and data we discuss are for informational purposes only. They're not trading or investment advice.
Right. And if we just zoom out for a second, the core tension here, the real push and pull for SoundHound AI, it's exactly that. Strong revenue momentum versus these widening net losses. So for you, the investor, you've got to decide which side of that balance sheet you're going to weigh more heavily. Is it the promise of a dominant future, or the pain of the current cash burn?
And that revenue momentum, it's genuinely staggering when you look at it.
It really is.
Looking at the Q2 2025 highlights, SoundHound AI reported revenue of $42.7 million.
Yeah.
That's a massive surge, up 217% year over year. That's not just growth. That's hyperscale territory.
It is. And based on that blockbuster performance, management didn't hesitate. They raised their full-year revenue projection.
They did, yeah.
To a range of, $160 million to $178 million?
Right.
Now, considering they pulled in $84.6 million the prior year, that guidance basically implies a near doubling of revenue.
Wow.
Around 99% growth at the midpoint. It really shows that the market for independent voice AI is maturing fast, and, they seem to be capturing that shift.
That kind of aggressive growth, though, it has to be tied to actual wins, right?
Yeah.
Not just market hype.
Absolutely.
So where is this 217% jump coming from?
It's coming from strategic adoption, really sticky sectors. We saw 2 major wins reported recently.
Okay.
First, they secured a major OEM automotive client in China. That's huge for their international footprint, getting into one of the largest vehicle markets globally.
Great deal, yeah.
And second, they added one of the world's largest healthcare companies to their enterprise roster.
Healthcare too. Interesting.
Yeah. And these aren't just, small pilot programs. These sound like large-scale, long-term deployments.
Yeah.
It really showcases the platform's utility beyond just, say, consumer gadgets.
Okay, but here's the part that gives, traditional analysts pause. The profitability puzzle.
Right.
Despite that massive revenue boom, these great customer wins, the company completely failed to meet consensus EPS estimates. Quarterly losses actually increased to down 19 cents per share. How deep does that hole actually go?
Well, the trailing 12-month, the TTM, net losses, they stand at a pretty chunky negative $225.44 million.
Yeah.
Now, let's be clear. For, let's say, a traditional company, that level of loss would trigger immediate panic bells.
For sure.
But in the realm of disruptive AI, where companies are essentially buying market share, investing heavily in R&D, proprietary models, you have to ask, is that figure truly shocking? Or is it just the necessary cost of doing business when you're trying to scale a really complex end-to-end AI platform?
That dichotomy, that split, it explains the market perception perfectly, doesn't it? It feels almost schizophrenic.
It does.
On one side, investors rewarded that top-line growth. Shares were up over 250% year-on-year by September 2025. They're cheering the land grabs, seemingly ignoring the balance sheet.
But then you have the fundamental analysts, and they are ringing loud alarm bells. Weiss Ratings, for instance, in October 2025, they reiterated a sell D rating.
A D minus. Wow.
Yeah, specifically because of those ongoing profitability concerns. And a deeply negative return on equity minus 73%.
Minus 73.
It just highlights this massive disconnect, between what the growth investor sees, the tech, the revenue curve, and what the value investor sees, which is this enormous negative cash flow.
That Weiss D rating, it hits hard.
Yeah.
Are we sure this isn't just, a traditional ratings agency, maybe not quite getting the burn rate needed for disruptive AI?
That's a fair question.
Why isn't the market more scared by a D-minus rating?
Well, I think it's partly because of the balance sheet structure. It actually offers a surprising shield.
How so?
Okay, so yes, they are losing significant money. They kind of have to, right? To invest in R&D, market expansion.
Well, the cost of growth.
But the balance sheet itself shows a resilience that sort of undercuts immediate panic. What's really fascinating here is that the company is virtually debt-free.
No debt.
Yeah.
In this environment.
Almost none. And in a high-interest rate, capital-intensive world like AI development, operating without significant debt, that's a massive strategic advantage.
That's a huge point. Being debt-free gives them flexibility. So how long is their leash? How much runway do they have?
They hold about $230 million in cash reserves.
Oh.
And this isn't just a number on a page. It provides strong creditworthiness, sure, but crucially, it gives them a sufficient cash runway. They can fund their rapid innovation without the immediate threat of, say, dilution hanging over them.
Which is always a worry with growth stocks.
Exactly. That fear of dilution is a constant specter. SoundHound AI seems to have enough runway to navigate probably the next few crucial quarters. Now, free cash flow, as you'd expect, it's negative.
Right.
But stabilization is anticipated within the next maybe 2 quarters. That timeline, that becomes absolutely critical for investors to watch.
So they have the cash to keep going with this land grab strategy, challenging giants like Amazon and Google in the voice space. But cash alone doesn't guarantee they'll win, right? What makes this company a sector leader, despite the losses? What's their competitive moat that justifies this massive investment burn?
Okay, the moat. It's built on 2 things. Proprietary, end-to-end technology, and established large-scale deployments.
End-to-end.
Yeah. SoundHound AI holds a leadership position in independent end-to-end voice AI platforms. That's through their Houndify suite. They aren't just selling, like, a piece of code for voice recognition. They offer the entire stack, from listening to understanding to actually fulfilling the request.
Okay. So it's the whole process.
Exactly. And that end-to-end integration, it's difficult to replicate, especially for larger competitors who might rely on more generalized AI models. SoundHound AI's differentiation comes from proprietary tech, like their Polaris model, which specializes in fast, accurate conversational understanding. And we see the validation of this tech through those established relationships, like the Big Jeep partnership in Europe. They're solving highly complex, customized problems for large global clients. Problems that require deep, integrated intelligence, not just generic AI answers.
That feels like the real insight.
Yeah.
They're building a system that integrates deeply into a client's infrastructure. It creates high switching costs, right? And high barriers to entry for competitors. It's more of an enterprise solution, not just a consumer toy.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've established that the fundamentals are, well, they're a battleground. Blistering growth versus necessary losses, but shielded somewhat by a strong cash position.
That sums it up well.
But sometimes the chart tells a totally different story. Let's shift gears a bit and look at the technicals. How does the stock look purely from a trading perspective? Is that momentum actually supported by the chart structure?
Yeah, it's interesting. From a trading perspective, the structure remains robustly bullish. It's kind of defying those fundamental profitability concerns.
How so?
Well, the stock is trading persistently above both its key moving averages. The 50-day, which is around $14.75 right now, and its longer-term 200-day moving average, sitting at $12.28.
Right.
Staying above those levels, it reinforces the positive uptrend. It tells momentum traders that, institutional money is likely still flowing in.
Yeah, we mentioned the volatility earlier. I'm seeing massive swings, spiking volume in the data. What are the charts telling us about the momentum behind all this speculative interest?
Well, the trading volumes have definitely spiked significantly, which confirms that high speculative interest. But the real headline technical indicator here, it's the beta, currently sitting at 2.79.
2.79. So for you listening, this isn't just slightly volatile. This is rocket fuel territory.
Pretty much, yeah.
If the Nasdaq has a bad 2% day, what should someone expect from SoundHound AI?
They should expect a much bigger swing. A beta of 2.79 means that for every 1% move the broader market makes, SoundHound AI typically moves almost 2.8%. So yeah, it's an aggressive, high-risk, high-reward proposition, definitely not for the faint of heart. But that high volatility, it's also fueled by some strong investor confidence signals.
Like what?
Well, analyst sentiment, for one, it's firmly a moderate buy consensus from the 11 major analysts covering the company.
Moderate buy?
Yeah, including 6 outright buy ratings. And importantly, 3 upward revisions just in the last 90 days. That institutional confidence is, frankly, very hard to ignore.
It is hard to ignore. And is it reinforced by those closest to the company? What are insiders doing with the stock? Are they buying or selling?
That's another encouraging sign, actually. Recent Form 4 filings confirm net insider buying.
Buying, interesting.
Yeah, you've got directors actively adding shares to their positions. That's usually a pretty powerful signal, right?
Definitely.
It tells you management believes the share price is undervalued, even with those TTM losses looming large. They're putting their own money where their mouth is, believing that the long-term tech advantage outweighs these short-term financial headwinds.
Okay, so institutions are moderately bullish, insiders are buying. What about retail?
We also see confirmation on the retail side. Sentiment seems highly positive on forums, social media, places like that. It's widely discussed as an obvious generational AI play.
Right, riding the coattails of the big AI wave.
Exactly. Benefiting from the same secular trends driving the massive chip makers and the large language model developers.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting then. We've got the fundamentals, the technical structure defined. Now, what are the key upcoming catalysts that you, the listener, should be watching? What's the most critical near-term event that could send this stock soaring or potentially sinking?
The pivotal event, without a doubt, will be the Q3 2025 earnings report. It's expected around, let's say, November 7th or maybe the 11th.
Okay, Q3 earnings. What should people look for?
So for you watching this specific report, try to ignore the headline revenue number for just a moment. Continued acceleration is pretty much expected there. You need to focus laser-like on 2 things: signs of progress on margin improvement and the timeline for hitting that free cash flow stabilization we talked about.
Got it. Margins and cash flow timeline.
Exactly. If they can show they're successfully scaling towards profitability, that alleviates those derating concerns we mentioned earlier. That would be a major de-risking event for the stock.
Okay, earnings is huge. Beyond that, we also have some market structure stuff coming up.
Right.
Affecting Q4 flows.
They do.
November 15th brings the S&P 500 ETF rebalancing. That could introduce some volatility, depending on how passive funds adjust their allocations across the growth sector.
Correct.
And then December 18th is the institutional buys and disclosures date. That could spark significant momentum, depending on whether major institutions signal big buys or maybe sales.
Yeah, those market structure events definitely affect the flow of money. But the really high impact triggers, often they're found in the speculative rumors that are circulating right now.
The rumor mill. What's churning?
Well, market chatter suggests several possibilities that could, instantly re-rate the valuation if they came true.
Yeah.
One major rumor is the expansion of those OEM automotive partnerships. Particularly, there's widespread talk about a potential partnership with a major U.S.-based automaker. That would be massive validation on home turf.
Huge. Okay, what else?
Another is the anticipated launch of maybe a new consumer-facing AI assistant. That could potentially open up a whole new massive revenue stream for them.
Right, direct-to-consumer.
And finally, there's significant industry speculation that SoundHound AI could be involved in M&A activity, either positioning itself as a strategic takeover target for a larger tech player, or perhaps even becoming an acquirer itself, maybe to consolidate some tech in the fragmented voice AI space.
Okay, so we have massive upside potential, driven by both actual execution and, well, speculation. But we need to stay grounded. What are the primary risk factors we absolutely cannot ignore here?
The primary company-specific risks are really what we started with. Those growing net losses and the persistent negative cash flow.
The burn rate.
Exactly. If they burn through that $230 million in cash faster than anticipated, or if they can't stabilize cash flow soon, then dilution becomes a very real threat again. That could quickly reverse the recent insider confidence we saw.
And there's also significant execution risk, isn't there, on those new large-scale partnerships you mentioned?
Absolutely. Think about the sheer complexity of integrating an end-to-end voice AI into a global automotive platform like that new OEM client in China.
Yeah, that's not easy.
Or into one of the world's largest healthcare providers. Failure to deliver successfully and on time on those major contracts, that could quickly reverse the positive sentiment and slam the brakes on revenue acceleration. That level of execution is a major hurdle they have to clear. So if we try to connect all these threads, the bigger picture, the overall investment thesis right now feels strongly bullish. I'd probably rate the current narrative maybe a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. pretty strong.
Yeah, it's an aggressive stance, but it's predicated on that accelerating fundamental growth, the strong technical support we discussed, and this overwhelmingly positive institutional and retail sentiment that's really backing the AI leader narrative right now.
Okay, so for the investor looking at this, highly volatile stock, what are the best horizons? Should they be looking to trade the news cycles, or is this more of a hold for the long haul?
I think both horizons are actually pretty attractive here, but they obviously require different levels of risk tolerance.
Right.
For the short term, the stock seems excellent for trading around those major catalysts we identified. Q3 earnings, any partnership news, those are immediate opportunities for potentially rapid swings.
Okay, short-term trading potential and long-term.
For the long term, the company seems exceptionally well positioned for potential wealth creation. I mean, capturing that secular growth in independent voice AI, market expansion into key areas like automotive, healthcare, smart homes, the potential is there.
Makes sense.
But the company's growth trajectory is compelling, yes. But its high volatility, remember that beta of 2.79, it really emphasizes the risk involved.
Yeah.
So this raises, I think, the most important question for you, the investor. How do you weigh that strong competitive advantage, the proprietary tech, the market penetration against the amplified market risk that's clearly inherent in this stock, finding that balance? That's what you must do when deciding if now is the right time for you to buy.
Yeah, that was our look at SoundHound AI. The key battleground moving into Q4 seems pretty clear. It's revenue acceleration versus loss mitigation. Can they prove they're scaling towards profitability before that cash cushion runs thin? And just a final reminder for everyone, information is provided as is and solely for informational purposes. It is not for trading purposes or advice, and quotes may be delayed. Thank you for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and please comment below what the next company you want us to research.